Proof that people will argue online about anything, there seems to be two camps that have formed out there about Halloween Ends. There are those who like Halloween Ends, and those who actually watched it with their eyes open. Just kidding. Sort of. I found the film to be a failed and poorly timed experiment. The producers are probably wringing their hands, wondering how they can save their precious Halloween cash cow at this point, with both fans and critics lashing out against the movie. Well, there's no way we can go back and make Halloween Ends not happen, but I do believe that if the Akkads or Blum people want to move forward, there is a way. Head is a bit of an elaboration on a previous review I did of Halloween Ends, which will include some spoilers and some points I failed to address. And then I'm going to hypothesize about a direction that the Halloween series could go from this point forward to ensure the future of the franchise. Maybe, just maybe, we can help right this ship that has gone so far off course. So prepare to entertain my thoughts and suggestions for the next few minutes, please. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Halloween Ends is new in theaters and streaming on Peacock. It's directed by David Gordon Green and written by David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, Chris Bernier, and Paul Brad Logan, based on characters created by John Carpenter and Debra Hill. Originally, I believe David Gordon Green and company wanted to have the entire three movies occur in one night, and I think as soon as they strayed from that concept, that's where things went wrong. It's like they used up all of their core ideas in the first two films and needed something new and different for the third one. Enter this guy. Corey, played by Rohan Campbell, didn't wow me in the film. He wasn't unwatchable. He was just plopped into the story at the last minute and took up all of the air in the room in a movie that was supposed to be focused on the last battle between Laurie and Michael. Sure, it might have seemed like a good idea to have Michael groom a protege to carry on after he was gone, but the execution felt rushed and failed to capture the minds and hearts of fans who had loved Michael Myers for 45 years. The fact is, no one wants to see a Halloween movie without Michael Myers. You can make one without Jamie Lee, but without Michael, there's no franchise. Sidelining Michael, just as Laurie was sidelined in Halloween Kills, was the wrongest of wrong moves and one of the many missteps this film made. The main problem with Halloween Ends was with the pacing. It's all over the place and contributes to how the rest of the movie played out and how effective the decisions made by the writing team were experienced by the audience. After the flashback opener involving Corey's botched attempt at babysitting, resulting in the death of a child, the film opens up in present day. The span of the movie only occurs in about 2 or 3 days, but the story requires a whole lot of stuff to occur within that time, and I think that's where things fall apart. The relationship between Corey and Allison is rushed all to hell. The two just met, and immediately she is all over him. There's no hesitation, no pondering, not even a chance for Allison to wonder whether or not she's into this guy. Laurie introduces Corey to Allison, and she's immediately balls deep into him. In a single day, she meets the guy, goes out on a date with him to a Halloween party, and then the guy freaks out on her and leaves her at the party. On day 2, they meet again, make up, have a sandwich at the diner, and decide to leave town together. You met the dude yesterday. How about we take a second to get to know each other before planning out the rest of your lives? This makes the entire relationship feel less real for the audience and more like the writer attempting to find something for Allison to do, even if it betrays the character who has been portrayed as somewhat of a level-headed person in the previous 2 films. Of all the characters in the film, Allison was the one that didn't really ring true, but since she didn't really factor into the main battle between Laurie and Michael, they made her more of a pawn to be played with back and forth between Laurie and Corey. Meanwhile, while Allison is immediately falling head over tits for Corey, Corey is rapidly shifting from Daria to Dexter overnight. Sure, the darkness might have been there, but we never really saw it. Was that magical twinkling in his eye when Michael grabbed him in the sewer a transference of power or a recognition of a shared kinship? Either adds a supernatural element to the series that made a big deal about shying away from the supernatural and going for a more grounded slasher story. The slow transition would have worked. Having another accidental kill led to an intentional one and to another as Corey begins to like it more and more. It could have been a way to verbalize that which Michael can't, but again, because it happens basically overnight, none of it rings genuine. This truncated timeline only makes Lori look like a moron as well, because she shifts from setting her granddaughter up with Corey to fearing he's the second coming of Michael. So breakneck story development contributed to audience disinterest and suspension of disbelief. Halloween Ends also lacked likable characters set up for slaughter. One of the things I commended 2018 and Kills for was making the kills resonate by giving even the smaller parts storylines and character moments to provoke investment. Remember how much time we spent with the gay couple in Kills? The talented actors made these two fun to watch and made the deaths all the more impactful. In this one, none of that character work is done. There are simply bad people for Corey to kill, like the rude doctor, the opportunistic nurse, and the punk kid bullies. Because these are cardboard cutouts instead of fleshed out characters, no one cared when Corey took the blade to them, and the film felt more like a late entry in the Halloween or Friday the 13th franchises. Again, this was a detriment towards audience investment, making the movie simply less engaging. So I haven't even addressed the ending, and I've named 2 or 3 things wrong with Halloween Ends. The ending is a whole other bucket of tadpoles to get into. It was anticlimactic, felt rushed, and again failing to deliver the characters to invest in throughout the film and lacking the power in execution. So what's an Akkad supposed to do? The Akkad family owns the rights to the franchise, and they've been what's kept it going through the years after Carpenter left, for those who don't know. Well, here's my suggestion. I'm lobbing it out there for free. I just want to see a good Halloween movie. And with the destruction of Michael's body at the end of the film, it sure didn't leave for much to be done with this timeline. Unless, and hear me out, Michael was never in the movie in the first place. They've done this before, albeit pretty shoddily, when Kevin Williamson reneged on the ending of Halloween H2O, and Michael switched masks with the person Laurie beheaded. Yes, there are many who hate the latter sequels, but being the purist that I am, I watched and enjoyed parts of each sequel. But what if Michael was never in 1 second of Halloween Ends, and his appearances were all in Corey's head? That dark sewer hole he encountered Michael in was simply the place where Corey had been storing his victims all along. Those images of Michael helping him, a characteristic he never showed before in any other film, were all really just Corey losing his mind and humanity, becoming a Michael copycat. If the potential was there, then it would have made more sense that outside of the movie's timeline, Corey was already nuts by the time we knew him, and just in denial of that side of his personality. This would also explain that weird conversation Corey has with Laurie in the house where the kid was killed. Laurie was just another aspect of his personality, trying to get him to listen to reason and not give in to his dark side. It would explain why she was able to pull a Batman on him at the end of the conversation and simply disappear. But the biggest problem this would rectify would be that if Michael was never in the film and it was all Corey, then it wasn't Michael who bled out on that kitchen table. It was Corey. After seemingly killed by Laurie, Corey rose again, fighting Laurie and Allison in the kitchen. It was Corey's body who was pinned and murdered on the countertop, then paraded through the streets and destroyed in the metal compactor as a symbolic way of destroying the curse of Michael Myers and bring some kind of closure to the entire town of Haddonfield. This even ties in with Laurie's last lines about evil taking a different shape. Michael never returned in Ends, and his story lives on for another, more fitting sequel. In this way, Laurie gets her closure, Haddonfield has a momentary breath of relief, and the boogeyman lives on forever. I'll even give you a title for that sequel. Halloween Never Ends. So yeah, Halloween Ends is pretty bad. Good production and big names don't make for a good movie if your story lacks an opportunity for investment and a well-paced timeline people can actually follow. Ends is just another foul-up in a series of foul-ups and downs for this franchise. Thanks for entertaining my fanfic theory, and here's hoping someday someone will make a sequel more befitting to the franchise and respectful of the fans that forked over millions to see these Halloween movies. So how about you? How would you continue the Halloween series after this? Or would you like it just to disappear and fade away? Let me know down in the comments.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside that reality.